Hi there and welcome to my channel. I'm Jennifer. This is A Country Life. Welcome back to another week of suppers. We're from Wisconsin and I don't know if it's a Wisconsin thing, a Midwest thing, or if it's just a family thing, but we've always called the evening meal supper. So here we are, another week of suppers, and it is a Monday night. We are having a campfire and we're making pudgy pies. So I'm not sure if that's something that you're familiar with, but it's really fun to do. You just take the little cast iron pudgy pie maker, butter the outsides of your bread. You're basically just making a grilled cheese with or a grilled sandwich with some sort of filling. A lot of times when I was in Girl Scouts, we would do pizza pudgy pies with some mozzarella cheese, pizza sauce, and then little bits of pepperoni. We've done the breakfast ones where you put apple pie filling or blueberry pie filling in them. And tonight we are doing cheese or cheese and chicken. I have some chicken lunch meat as well, so if anyone wants to do that, they can do that. And actually what works really well actually is if you just put this one on here. Nope. Yep, like that. And then just put that one on there. It's got a hook. And then there's the little lock on there. Yep, squeeze it hard. Squeeze it someplace and put the lock on. You usually have to squeeze it farther down. Yep, you got it. And now, what we always do is just kind of peel off, because this is just going to get burnt. So you just kind of peel that off.
And eat it? You
can eat it, absolutely. Yep, peel off any extras. Well, you kind of want some coals. So our fire isn't really ready for coals yet. But that'll probably work.
Got the fire started.
We are back in action. Well, let's let it burn for a while till we have some coals, Peter. It'll just get real smoky flavored, hon, if you do that. So let's let it burn down for a while, and then we'll put it in, okay? How's your pudgy pie?
Delicious. It's not too crunchy. The edges are perfect, and it's not too burnt.
Peter's was a little bit of a disaster.
Mine tasted terrible. It was burnt, and it tasted like burnt, smoky bread.
Yeah. Yours got a little overdone. I'm hoping that these didn't just get overdone now, too. I gotta pay attention, don't I?
Yeah.
Marshmallows look good, though.
Yeah, I need the s'more to get the taste out of my mouth.
Believe it or not, we are actually almost an entire week later. It's Sunday now. When we were having that, when we were making the pudgy pies over the campfire, it was Monday. And I thought I was gonna get a whole week of meals and everything. Well, wow, was it a busy week. So my birthday was the next day, and we ordered out from a local Chinese restaurant and had that. Well, then we ended up having leftovers. Nick invited us over to have a cookout the next night, and it just seemed like I was not cooking a whole lot last week, and the idea was to do meals of the week. Well, anyway, we're just going to switch this up, and I'm just going to film cooking for the week. Rather than focusing on just the supper meal every night, I'm just going to focus on some of the cooking that I do throughout this upcoming week. So here we are. We have a graduation party to go to today, and if you're ever invited to an open house graduation party and you are able to bake bars, just say, hey, can I bring a pan of bars? It is the nicest thing. We've had 3 kids graduate so far, and anytime someone has offered to bring a pan of bars or a plate of deviled eggs or something like that. It has always been so appreciated. So anyway, I offered and they said, sure, that would be great. So I'm making peanut butter swirl bars here. This recipe, if you want, let me get it in better lighting. This is from my cookbook. It doesn't, there we go. Is it focusing now? This is from my cookbook, peanut butter swirl bars. My sister-in-law shared this recipe with me years and years ago. And we've just been making it ever since. It's always a favorite for people who like chocolate and peanut butter together. So I just have all of the, like the dough part is finished up here. I'm going to spread this into a greased 9x13 pan. I'm going to top it with 1 cup of chocolate chips, pop it in the oven at 350 degrees for 5 minutes, bring it back out, swirl the chocolate chips through the bars, and put it back in the oven to bake for about another 20 or 25 minutes, really depending on your pan. You know, every 9x13 pan is just a little bit different, and some are a smidge on the big side, some are a smidge on the small side, and that really just all plays a part in how long the bars have to bake. Good morning. I'm continuing on with this cooking video here, just kind of showing you, you know, just what happens day in and day out here in the kitchen. I was kind of working up a little bit of a meal plan here. I also have my flyers here with my coupons. I have some great coupons for Pick and Save this week, so I do have plans. I'm hoping that later tonight, like after supper, that I might be able to run in and do my just kind of like shopping the deals style grocery shopping here tonight. But first we are going to get into the kitchen and let's just look. I had down eggs, bacon, and toast for breakfast. You know what, guys? We did bacon. We did bacon and coffee, and that was it. And but for supper tonight, Warren has been requesting pork and dumplings, for probably like 2 years or something. But it is happening today. I took the pork roast out last night. I have that all thawed. I'm going to go and get a loaf of bread and get that put into the oven right now so I can dry it out. And yeah, we're going to make pork and dumplings happen. Also, Peter he found a recipe where you add Worcestershire sauce and other seasonings to some hamburger. So he is going to mix up the hamburger today. And also, let's see, I'm going to make some homemade bread today. I have to bring out the lasagna that I have in the freezer so we can have that Wednesday night for supper. Warren had requested cast iron pizza on Thursday night. So I might bring up the sausage and get the sausage frying today. Maybe we'll make that happen as well. So I just have some things that I'm going to do. First off, though, we have to get the pork into the crock pot. Before putting the pork roast, this is a pork loin, into the crock pot, I want to sear both sides just to add that extra flavor. So I have my stove on right now, and I'm just putting on this seasoning. This is a garlic and herb seasoning. I think this will be just the right flavoring for this. Really, whatever you want. Salt and pepper would be just as fine, just as good too. And then we're going to top it with a good dose of pepper. All right, I've never seared on this particular griddle here before, but we're going to give it a try. So I'm just going to start with the non-fat side. And I'm going to turn that up. I wanted it to sizzle a little bit more, so I'm going to turn that up. I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes. So I don't get antsy and try to turn it too soon. Then we'll take a peek at it and then turn it and do 5 minutes or whatever seems appropriate for the fat side. I'm just gonna cut this in half so that it fits in my crock pot a little bit better. And I'm gonna put it in the crock pot with the fat side up so that as it cooks, that fat can kind of soak down into the meat and just keep it nice and tender.
Great.
And I have some sauerkraut here that I'm gonna put over top of the roast. Oh my goodness. Maybe I'm not. I need you.
Yeah,
I can't get that open. Oh my goodness. Thank you. It smells good. That smells delicious. I'm gonna put almost this whole jar of sauerkraut over it, but it smells so good I wanna keep a little bit of it fresh. Since it's in a jar, I can pop it in the fridge so that we can have some brats and I can have some sauerkraut on the brats. All right, I just saved a little bit. I did put all of the juices in the roast though. I'm gonna get that covered, set that to low, and let it cook until supper time. Along with supper tonight, I'm going to roast up some broccoli, so I already got that cut up. And later on, I'll put some olive oil in here, and then a little bit of salt and pepper, or I might do garlic salt. I'll just have to see kind of what I feel like when it gets to be time for supper. I'll also probably put a couple red pepper flakes in here, because I do like a little bit of zip to it. Next up, I'm going to get some bread going in my bread machine. So I like to make the dough using my bread machine and then turn it out, shape it, and bake it in the oven in loaf pans. This particular bread is like a real soft sandwich loaf kind of bread. I think it's just going to go over real well with supper tonight. I'll make sure that I bake it so that the crust gets crusty because, yeah, that's how Warren likes it. And I'm seeing that my bread pan is not, looks like it got bent. I'm not sure what happened there. I have 2 cups of just barely warm water. This bread actually has quite a bit of sugar in it. It has 2/3 cup of sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1/4 cup of oil, and 6 cups of white bread flour. You could substitute and do 3 and 3 whole wheat flour and white flour. That would work as well. Just be sure to really fluff your flour when you're making bread. Always fluff your flour really well so that it's not a compacted cup of flour, that it's like a real loose, airy cup of flour. So 6 cups. That's a little bit overkill for my bread machine, so always check your bread machine directions and guidelines. I think mine says something like 4 cups is the max, but I've done it with 6 cups before. It is going to rise up to the top of the lid. It's going to touch the lid, but it's fine. It's fine. I just make a little well in the top of the flour, and I need 1.5 tablespoons of yeast. So there's 1 and then 1/2 tablespoon. I'm going to set this to the dough cycle on my bread machine now. So that's kind of an annoying sound in the background with the bread machine going. But next up, I'm going to get something into my oven because I really kind of want to get all of my appliances running. Then I'm going to go out and do some computer work. So I'm gonna make some rhubarb apple bars. You can do these just rhubarb, just apple, but I'm just combining it, rhubarb and apple together. And then at the end, I'll put like a little frosting over top of these. So here I go. Just gonna get things into my bowl and mixed up. So far in here, I have 1.5 cups of sugar, and I'm putting in 3/4 cup of melted butter, or almost melted butter. I need a cup of sour milk, so I'm just going to mix lemon juice with my regular 2% milk. Usually 1 to 2 tablespoons is just fine. If you let it just kind of rest for 30 seconds or so, it'll sort of, I don't know, you'll see the edges almost look like they're kind of curdling a little bit. That's when you know it's time to dump it in. I'm going to do a teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, going to do 2 cups of flour. That's 3/4. That's 1 1/2. Now at this point you could put in added spices, cinnamon, cloves, allspice, if you want kind of that, well, you know, that little bit spicier flavor. I guess what I think of as more like fall flavors. I'm just going to add a splash of vanilla to this and then add in a diced apple and a cup of rhubarb. As soon as my oven preheats, I'm going to get the rhubarb apple bars into the oven for about 20 minutes. That'll give me just enough time to get out to the computer and get done what I need to do out there, because I have my bread machine going, I'll have my oven going, and I have my crock pot going. So then I feel like, okay, everything's going. Let's go and do something else for a little bit. Actually, I'll probably also go get the washing machine going, and then what I have to do on the computer is, one, print off. I did have a couple people order cookbooks, even though I had mentioned that they were out of stock right now. That's okay if a person does order one. If you want to order one, when they are back in stock, I will ship them out. And I do have just a couple right now. So I'm going to go and print those labels for that. And then also I need to approve the newsletter. If you are new here and you didn't know this, I put out a weekly newsletter on Mondays. We try for Monday morning, but it doesn't always happen at that point. But every Monday, put out a newsletter, and truth be told, Emily actually writes the newsletter for me, and then she'll say, hey, I have an idea for a newsletter or something like that, and she'll put it together, and then I just have to approve it and make any changes if there's, you know, sometimes there's a little thing that I'm like, oh, or I need to add a link or something like that, so I'll do that. So I have to go and do that so she can get that sent out to you, because it has recipes in it that I know a lot of you were hoping for in my last big cooking video where I made the strawberries and cream pie and the blueberry dream pie, as well as that Mediterranean orzo and chicken salad. So those were a couple things that didn't fit into the description box. I only have 5,000 characters to type up in the description box, and I utilized them all that week or for that video. So those are coming out in today's newsletter. So what I'm trying to say here is that if you are not subscribed to the newsletter already, or you know, signed up for it, there will be a link in the description box below. Just click on that, add your email, and then you will be getting the weekly emails. So things that will be coming up in that would be, well, volume 2 of the cookbook is in process right now, and well, we were hoping to have it finished into the publisher by June 15th. Well, that's in a couple days, so I don't think that's quite going to happen. But anyway, we are going to get it to the publisher by the end of June, and that should be set to release right about August 1st. So anyway, that the newsletter is a great place to get the latest on that, get the links for ordering a cookbook, things like that. And then there's always just a little bit of behind the scenes type of stuff in the newsletter as well. So I'm going to go get that done. My oven still isn't preheated, so I have a minute or two before I can get out to the computer. The rhubarb apple bars are out of the oven. They cooled. I just put on a little glaze. I think I should have made a little bit more. This was about a cup of powdered sugar, maybe a smidge under a cup. I put in a little bit of vanilla, just a drip of almond extract, and then a little bit of milk, just enough to make it kind of a thick drizzle. And like I said, I think I probably could have even doubled this, and it would have been just about the right amount. Peter wants to show us his sandwiches for lunch today. We are having
chicken patties.
Chicken patties with lettuce.
All I do is just have one chicken patty, lettuce, and mayo.
And you can hear the thunder in the background because we are getting a storm right now.
Yeah.
The rhubarb that I thawed to make the rhubarb cake, the rhubarb apple, I guess they're called rhubarb apple bars, but I just don't feel like it's bars. It's more like a cake. I had some of that rhubarb left, and so I really wanted to try to make like a rhubarb yeast bread, and I searched through some of my cookbooks. I didn't find anything. I found a number of things I probably could have adapted to rhubarb, but I just went onto Pinterest and I was kind of looking there, and I found something that's called like a rhubarb yeast bun. It looks kind of, it's more like a little braided kind of a bun. I'm going to give it a try. I'm not really sure. But to get started with that, I need to put the rhubarb and an entire cup of sugar, which sounds crazy. I need to put that in a little pot and get that simmering. I want the sugar to all dissolve, and I want the rhubarb to get really, really soft. I also reread the recipe. I need 3 tablespoons of water in there as well. So I'm just measuring out a pound of flour here right now. So it doesn't really matter if your flour is fluffed or not when you're actually weighing it, because, yeah, it just doesn't really matter. I'm going to do this in my KitchenAid using the dough hook. So this is 1 pound of flour, as well as a pinch of salt. I'm going to let this drip for a little while now, collecting the juice, and as soon as the juice is cool, I want it to cool down and not be, you know, I don't want it too hot or it will kill the yeast. But what I'll be doing is mixing the yeast right into the juice here, and then adding that and some oil to the flour, and we'll get the dough going. Okay, I'm just going to pop this in the fridge for a minute so that this can cool down, because I really do want to get this bread going. So at this point, I'm making some zucchini chocolate chip muffins. I've shown this recipe so many times, like every single summer, you know, late summer when the zucchini is just prolific. I make so many of these muffins. Hundreds, probably hundreds of these muffins. This is just, again, this is a family favorite. And when I say family favorite, I mean with everyone. Even Peter and Maria, and even Joe will eat these too. And so, yeah, everybody seems to love these. I would prefer if they had nuts. The kids don't like the nuts, so I do leave nuts out. But every once in a while, I throw nuts into something just for Warren and I, because we really like the nuts too. But I'm going to make these sans nuts today. So I have flour, sugar, baking soda, cinnamon, and salt mixed up in here. I'm going to add in egg, oil, milk, lemon juice, and vanilla. Normally I would mix the wet ingredients in a separate container, like my little Tupperware dish or something, and pour it in. I've just been making so many dishes today that I'm going to try to save on dishes. So we'll see how this goes. Whoa, that was a soft eggshell. As you can see with this recipe, I hardly measure anything. I mean, I use my 1 cup and I just eyeball it, but it's just because I've made these so many times. I just really don't need to measure. I just always know how they're going to turn out. And it's nice to have recipes like that in your repertoire of recipes. It's nice to have some that you either have memorized or you can just kind of make at a moment's notice, and this is one of those. As long as I have the zucchini thawed, which sometimes I forget. But I knew that I was going to spend the day in the kitchen today. Yesterday I knew that. I had been just really, really itching to get into the kitchen lately, and it just seemed like last week every day was a weird, I shouldn't even say weird, it was just full. They were very full days, and we ended up having a birthday meal where we got takeout. We ended up having to cook out. We ended up having something else going. I can't, I'd have to look at the calendar, but there were so many nights that I wasn't really cooking a full meal. We'd sort of have a little bit of this and then add on for one person a peanut butter and jelly, or a little bit of this, and then one person would have a grilled cheese. And I get tired of that after a while. I'm like, I miss the kitchen. So I'm so happy to be in the kitchen. And the point being is that yesterday I already knew I was doing this, so I already got out everything I was gonna need for today, so it'd already be thawed. It's kind of juicy, so I'm actually gonna drain off some of this moisture today, but I don't squeeze it. I just let most of the juice drain away, but I don't squeeze it dry because I do want some of that moisture for the muffins. So let's get that folded in. There's a big old chunk, no one's gonna want that. Yep, so I like to just sort of fold this around. I don't like to, I don't want to do that. I just kind of like to fold it around until all of the zucchini get separated. I was so happy when Aldi went to having their mini chips and their regular chips the same price, because I love using the mini chips when I'm making muffins, because I just feel like it just kind of like spreads them out a little bit more. Sometimes if you're only making 12, let's see, this is going to make 12, correct? Yes. Oh, this might make 15. And then you use the full-size chocolate chips. It's like you almost get a couple chocolate chips in each muffin. And it just doesn't seem like enough. So anyway, okay, so 1/4 cup. I always, since I don't put in the 1/4 cup of the nuts normally, then I'll just go a 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. So let's get those in. That looks great. Stir this around. I'm going to put these into a greased muffin pan and get them in the oven at 350 degrees for 17 minutes. Always go a little less. You can always bake anything longer, but you can never take time away. So any recipe, I always set the timer for a couple minutes less. Even if it's one of my own recipes that I've made, 50 or 100 times, I will still set the timer for a minute or two less, because the humidity of the day sometimes will affect it. If one time you used a different pan, I know I've said this before, but every 9x13 pan is just a little different sized, and it just all kind of plays into the amount of baking time. So always, always err on the side of going less. I know it's a couple, it's like extra steps. You have to, it's not done, then you have to set the timer for 2 minutes, and then, oh, it's not done, now we need 1 more minute. But it is worth it if you want the best end product. Trust me, there's many times where I'm like, oh, 17 will be just fine, and then it's too much and you're kind of bummed. All right, so that made 12 regular size muffins, and then I had enough batter left where I had to make like one of these jumbo ones. That's fine, I'll just put them all in at the same time. It's almost preheated, and that preheating is gonna be great for my bread rising, because the bread is rising. I mean, it's almost up to the edge of the pan, but just not quite. I want the hump to be over the edge, and then I'll be ready to pop that in the oven. Okay, the rhubarb juice here is just about, I mean, it's got just a smidge of warmth left, but not much. So the recipe says 1/2 of a yeast cube, and when I looked it up, it appears that a yeast cube is about similar to a packet of yeast. If I was reading that right, I didn't do a lot of investigation. I just kind of, set it into my phone and read just the little blips that pop up. So anyway, I'm gonna put in a teaspoon and a half. I think one of those packets is like 2 1/4 teaspoons, so I'm gonna put just a little bit over a teaspoon in. And my oven is preheated for the muffins, so I'm gonna get those in. Timing is going pretty well right now. Here I go, dirtying dishes. Oh, so many dirty dishes today. And then I need 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. 1, 2, 3, and 3. I'm gonna go put this onto the KitchenAid, and I already have the dough hook set up. And we're gonna get this turned into dough. Okay, this does not look like it's going to turn into bread dough to me at all. So I just put in 1 tablespoon of warm water. I'm gonna let it go for a couple more minutes, see how that helps, and then I'll just keep adding a tablespoon of water at a time until it seems like it is the right dough consistency. So that's a total of 3 tablespoons of water added in, and see how it's now starting to actually come together as a dough ball. It's cleaning the edges of the bowl. It's almost kind of slapping against the side of the bowl. That is really what I'm going for. I mean, there's a chance I might need to add a little bit more when I stop it and touch it, but I'm going to let it do this for about 6 minutes. Ooh, I just took the dough off the hook here, and this is really soft. It feels wonderful. It feels like a really nice dough. Okay, so now that the bread has risen over the pan edge, I'm going to pop this bread in, both of these loaves, into the oven, 350 degrees for probably anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. That should be just about right. Again, err on the side of less time, and when you open up the oven, you can always go, oh, it needs so many more minutes. So Peter is working on making some hamburgers for tomorrow night, and he found a recipe in one of his cookbooks that he picked up from the library, but he's over there just crying like a baby. So onions! They're pretty strong, aren't they? So he's just chopping the onions up so that he can get the meat mixed up, and then tomorrow he'll form the patties. Okay, so at 20 minutes the bread was done. Isn't that beautiful, the way it kind of like lifts on the side? This one did the same thing. It's just so beautiful. Here's the dough. I put it into a little bowl. I was trying to let it just rise on the counter. Nothing is happening with this dough. Nothing. So I have never done this before, but I'm thinking maybe I'm just going to plop it back in the KitchenAid with some more yeast. Mix in some more yeast with it and see if that does it. Yeah, I have no idea. The rhubarb juice mixture was not, it was not like really warm at all, you know, so it wasn't like I killed the yeast or anything. So I don't know. Just, it's a quandary. It's a quandary. I'm going to let it just sit there for a little bit longer, see if it'll rise. And if it doesn't, we'll just monkey around with it later.
Does this look good?
Yep, that looks really good. So now you're going to add the onion and the garlic, right? Is that what the recipe says?
Yep.
I've never made pork and dumplings on my own. Anyway, we're going to start with 3 potatoes shredded. Now the directions from my sister-in-law said that she usually starts with half of a loaf of white bread and lets that kind of dry out and then tear it into strips. I don't really know what half a loaf is going to be. Maybe like that? I don't know, there's like a slice. What do you think, Peter? What looks like a half a loaf of bread?
Like
that?
Yeah.
That looks good, huh?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to drain these potatoes in a strainer, sprinkle generously with salt, and 1/2 to 1 cup of warm water. I'm just kind of soaking up a lot of the moisture here. Add the potato to the bread. We're going to put salt and pepper, it says. Did it say pepper or did it just say salt? Ooh, it just says salt. Shoot. Well, I got a little bit of pepper on it. And add 1/2 to 1 cup of warm water. And then we're supposed to just mix it with our hands. I feel like I'm going to need more than that. Okay, so things are coming together. I got the bread out, and that is like fully cooling right now. And here are what the dumplings are looking like. I have salted water coming to a boil right now. I will put these into boil, and as soon as they float, that means they're done. It's going to take about 20 minutes. I also have my broccoli here. I'm going to get this roasted. So, okay, I'm back. Battery died. I had to switch it over. So I have my broccoli here. I have some olive oil, some garlic salt here, and some crushed red pepper flakes. I'm going to get that in here, just kind of like mix it all around so that the broccoli gets coated. I have my oven preheating to 400 degrees right now. I have a dark pan, which is what I like to use when I'm roasting vegetables. I'm just going to spread out the broccoli on here, pop it in the oven for probably about 20 minutes would be my guess. There again, you just kind of have to watch because, you know, these are pretty big pieces of broccoli today. Sometimes if I cut it into smaller chunks, then obviously it's going to take less time, but this is going to take some time because these are pretty big chunks and there's a lot of it. All right, I think I'm just going to pour this out on my cookie sheet and then mix it up because I have too much for this bag and it's just not mixing well at all. Okay, so I'm just going to keep the lid off of these and let these boil. I don't know why it's not going away. There we go. And just let these boil for about 20 minutes. I guess the trick to knowing when they're done is that they will float. So kind of just like other dumplings that we make, like when we make just the egg dumplings for ramen that we put in with ramen noodles. Same thing. As soon as they float, they're done. And my broccoli has about 17 minutes, so I guess that would be just about the right amount of time to come back and check on these. All right, so just about 19 minutes and the potato dumplings or bread dumplings, I don't really know what we call these, but they are done. What are they called?
I don't know. I just called them dumplings when I was a kid.
Dumplings?
That's what a dumpling was when I was a kid.
A dumpling, okay. Yes. So I said to Warren, I said, well, it only took me since 2004 to have the recipe written down and finally make them.
Well, you know, you don't want to rush into anything, so you want to proceed in a hurry, slowly. Slowly,
and that's exactly what I did. So anyway, here we go. We are going to have bread and dumplings. I was just going to foil these though, so I'm going to get these foiled, check the broccoli, and go from there.
Then I go and edit this picture. Smile.
Hi. Oh, you took a big one too. All right, so give us the rundown. This is correct?
This is correct. Pork and dumplings. This is what my mother made when I was a child. This is a huge family favorite when I was growing up.
I hope it's good.
I feel
like there's a lot of pressure right now.
I can't wait to eat it. I think it looks amazing.
Well, let's hope it tastes good.
So what is this?
This is pork. There's sauerkraut. It's pork loin. They're cut in like slices. Do you see the slices?
Yeah.
So there's a big slice right there, and then there's some smaller, thinner slices. There you go. Take your broccoli, Peter. There's little pieces there. All right, well, supper is all done, and oh, there you are. Yep. I gotta hold it way up there. And it was good.
It was great.
Like I said,
great, great, great.
I felt like there was a lot of pressure to get this right, and
you knocked it out of the park.
You said it was really good. So it's one of those things where you just, there really isn't a true recipe. There's sort of a grouping of ingredients. Okay, he's got to go flag for the honeybees coming in tonight. But it's one of those things where there's a grouping of ingredients and you just sort of have to mix them up until you get it to the consistency. And if it's something that you ever want to make yourself, just kind of look at earlier in the video when I was showing like making the balls and what they look like before they were cooked. They just have to be sticky and hold together. Anyway, it was really good. Oh, you are a mess. What did you think, Joe?
You're a mess.
You're a mess.
You're a mess.
Did you like the pork?
What?
Did you like the pork?
Yes.
Yes. Did you like the dumplings?
Nope.
No, I didn't think so. What about the broccoli? Did you like that?
No.
No. Did you try any of the apple rhubarb cake?
Nope.
Nope. Just meat. Oh, bread. You had bread?
Yes,
You like,
yes.
yes, you like the bread too.
Yes,
meat,
yes.
Meat and bread. That's pretty much what he likes to eat. And one thing I forgot to mention or to show, I think, were the muffins all done. I was actually on the phone with my mom at the time when these were coming out, and that's all that's left. So, yeah, Joe has pretty much eaten the muffins. Well, maybe Pete. I think we all. Oh, yum. He's eating one right now. Anyway, just wanted to show you those, although I've shown these to you so many times before. So anyway, I also wanted to just point out the cake is delicious. Even Warren was like, wow, this is so good. Make this again. It's a great, I don't know, there's something about the rhubarb and apple. It's not a common grouping of flavors to put together, but it is so, so good. So I was so happy with everything today. Everything has turned out except for, what did I try making? The rhubarb braided bread or whatever. I don't know. The dough is still sitting over there. It's just like a lump. So I may just throw it out to the chickens. I may try to mix some more yeast in with it tomorrow and see what I can make happen. But today we are going to get the kitchen cleaned up and we're going to go for a bike ride. It is done raining, although I think it's going to rain a little bit more tonight. So we're going to try to sneak in a bike ride here. So I hope that this was fun for you all and that you got a couple ideas of some things to try and make in your own kitchen. I'll put a couple up here, some other cooking videos that you might like. See you over there.